Shakira J from West Philadelphia, that is, and you're listening to Capital Pink, one of the few podcasts that can teach you how to think, not what to think. Capital Pink is proudly sponsored by CFACT, and we are here for those who want to see the fact. You can find us on social media at Capital Pink, and don't forget to tag #CFACT. Today, we're talking about censorship on the Florida International University campus. With me now is my wonderful, wonderful colleague, Cristen Lameira, who has quite a story to share. Well, Cristen, talk to me. How are you feeling today?
Well, thank you for inviting me to be on here. I'm so excited to be doing this with you today.
Well, Cristen, could you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, kind of just a little bit of background, specifically with your university? What do you like? What orgs are you involved in, etc.?
I am a political science and economics major with a certificate in pre-law. And I did my AA Miami-Dade College, and right now I'm doing my bachelor's in Florida International University. I've been involved in like a ton of clubs, maybe too much. Student government, college Republican, Turning Point USA.
Amazing, fabulous. And how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
So right now I'm 21.
Oh, wow. Well, a couple more years and you're hitting the ground running, huh?
Yeah.
When you first stepped foot on your campus, did you feel your ideology was accepted?
So, my college experience started in Miami-Dade College campus. I did my AA over there. So that was when I first started college, and that was during the lockdown and COVID pandemic and everything. With everything happening, it really inspired me to like do something political on campus, because in high school I avoided politics. And I've always loved politics. So I decided, I'm going to do something. And one day I saw Charlie Kirk on Fox News, and whatever he was talking about, at the end of that, he's like, he was in like sort of like inviting students to like, encouraging students to like to start a chapter on their campus. And so I'm like, you know what, that would be a great idea. And so, and I was in SGA, student government. So I knew a lot about the rules on campus of how to start a club. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I started it with a couple of friends. I started the Turning Point chapter. And, one of the reasons why I thought I would be able to do it was, which we did eventually do it, but there was struggle in the beginning. But the reason why I thought there would be no struggle on MDC campus is because, a lot of students call it like one of the phrases, that we say over there is like MDC is, the College of Democracy, promotes democracy. So, I thought, and especially since we're in Florida, red state, that it would be, no issues. But, we did have some issues in the beginning. So like, our club was only given like about a week to find an advisor, but we find an advisor, and that was the last requirement we had to start the club. And so it was so hard to find an advisor, because all the teachers were that I asked were just like afraid to be associated with politics. They didn't want to be the advisor because they just didn't want any problems. And so one day a campus reform correspondent came and spoke to me, asked me, are any of you, like on through text, she's like, are any of you, because it was a group chat, are any of you experiencing like problems starting a chapter, or problems finding an advisor? Which is, weird, what a coincidence, because our chapter was having a problem. And so she did an article about it, and literally like the day after, which was the same day was the last day to find an advisor. An advisor reached out to me. A professor reached out to me through email, saying that he saw the he happened to see the article, and he's an MDC professor, and he's also on the same campus I am on, and that he would be willing to be the advisor. And so that was, what a miracle, literally that was like God's work, because like that was just a miracle.
And, just recently I found this supporting data that said basically, according to the 2021 assessment of free speech on college campuses, there was basically over 80% of the 37,000 undergrad students they surveyed. And the survey basically reported that there was censorship on campuses, and most also supported censoring others in certain cases. And so, you're definitely not alone. Like I said, I've went through such experience as well. And I even found this other statistic about, like, in 2019, 55% of the 1,300 college students surveyed, they basically said that the climate of their campus prevented them from saying what they think. In 2020, the percentage jumped to 62%. And so that just shows that there's definitely these things are happening on campus. And I'm glad that, you're taking an initiative and you're not afraid to speak out about it, because you're paving the way for the next conservatives and, those other students that want to join that specific club. So I guess that also brings me to my next question about, like, would you say it was easy for you guys to hold speaker events on your campus, or, did you experience any kind of like students protesting your events or anything like that?
So, we didn't have a problem with hosting conservative events, or having conservative speakers come. Thank goodness. Actually, what I did notice is, like, the higher the profile of the person, when I was an MDC of the person, the more, like, quicker they gave us a room to have the event. So that was good.
Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it probably equals out to them only looking, in favor of themselves because of the clout, right? And,
like, probably.
Have you ever felt, any kind of, like, being unsafe on campus because you're a conservative or anything like that? And do you think your censorship impacted your classroom or academic experience at all?
So for me, I'm really great, because even though I did have those experiences at my Miami-Dade college, overall, I am really, I am really grateful to have been at that campus, because, although we did have issues, at the end of the day, they didn't do anything about it. It was all like fear mongering, it was just, they didn't like what I was doing. They didn't like that I was, that we were successful, and not just talk about the school, but also other people, like other students on campus who either didn't agree with what I was doing, or whatever the case may be. Academically, throughout my life, actually, not just in college, but in high school too, like, even because I wasn't very political in high school, but even I noticed that, like, some of the essays I would write that do happen to, like, be about current events or issues where, a political ideology does, seep out, even sometimes when you do try to write objective. And I would get a lower grade than expected or whatever. And, back then I never stood up for my rights. But in college, I've had a couple of those situations. But, always when you have that situation, report it, go to your school, your college's president, just go all the way. Like, some say just go to, like, I don't know, some counselor or something. No, just go straight to the president, because the thing is, no one's gonna want to solve your issue unless you go to the people up there.
So, we're all about just kind of seeing the fact and really just trying to get more into how there was 2/3 of students, which makes like 66%. They say it's acceptable to, to speak out in your campuses and really just make things, pick up their mic. And I'm really, really excited to see kind of where the future holds for that. Apparently, last time I checked, it was like 23% that says it is acceptable to use violence to protest or to stop certain discussions. And that is Because like when you think about it, it's like so many things can be solved over a conversation. And it's so sad too that a lot of people, you just can't talk to some people. So I think, like you said, really just being able to spread that message, whether people want to listen or not, that's on them. It's not to say, the information will always be there, and if they want to take it, they'll take it. But sometimes talking to a brick wall is it's not worth it. And I've definitely learned that lesson. So I guess, what advice would you give to any libertarian or conservative students experiencing censorship on their college campus?
Always know your rights. Always know the school rules. Always read like that student handbook, when you first apply to a college, usually they'll like show you where your rights are, or they'll give you like a big document with a bunch of pages of all your rights. Make sure you read all the important parts. I know it's long, but try to know what try to read as much as possible of it, because you never know when your rights are going to be infringed. And if you don't read it all, you actually will never know, because your rights could be right now being infringed and you don't know it, and you could do something about it. So always be aware. If you think something's wrong, always say something.
Have for you, specifically just kind of summarizing and wrapping this whole entire episode up, you definitely have expressed to us some great stories, advice, etc. And I just want people to know, what censorship means. And if you want to give your definition, please feel free. And also how to recognize it and what you should do about it. You kind of touched on, what you've done about it. And so if you had any other advice to give, specifically if someone, witnesses or, sees censorship happening, what they should do about that. And also how to cope with it, because you did mention, as far as, even though it didn't really have an academic, impact on you, it definitely did, impact your mental health to some extent, because, you were thinking about it, and, it was just kind of adding more problems than what it should have been. So if you wanted to, one, give censorship a definition so folks can know what, when they see it and how to, go about it. And then two, once people do recognize it, what are some ways to cope with it and kind of to handle these types of situations?
So censorship is basically cancel culture. So what is that? Basically, if someone tries to infringe upon your rights, because you are saying something that's outlandish or is deemed controversial, or doing something that's deemed controversial, or that doesn't fit their narrative or what they would like to see or what other people expect, then that is, censorship, not being allowed to pursue your endeavors, or to make a comment, or it's against free speech. And I do suggest talking to people, and talking to several people, and it doesn't have to be someone with the same ideals as you, just someone who also believes that free speech and that constitutional rights should be protected, and someone you trust and have a relationship with. I think that's the first thing. And talk to a variety of people. Got to do something about it. So go contact a faculty member, report it, a professor, reach out to, and also I would recommend the college president. And then also I recommend, if it's really bad, to go to an outside organization that's willing to who's fights for students' rights. Like, for example, Leadership Institute is one, a FIRE organization is one, Turning Point USA is one. There's a bunch of organizations that are dedicated to fighting for students' rights, because your rights are worthy just like everyone else.
Sure thing. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. Here you have it, folks. The first episode of Capital Pink. So excited to have Cristen on and sharing her views on censorship. And I'm hoping that you guys took something away from this, because it's really important that we, one, see it and, take action versus seeing it and, not saying anything about it. And then two, being the proud and freedom fighters that we truly are, without no one telling us that we can't. So with that being said, until next time, my Capital Pink lovers, have a great day.